You are listening to Veterans Action Report on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. I'm your host, Nick, coming to you live from St. Paul, Minnesota.
And I'm Andrew Canales, coming to you live from Evergreen, Colorado.
Every day, veterans are struggling with many issues spanning from homelessness to mental health crisis, often leading to 22 veterans a day taking their own lives. There are veterans all around the U.S. leading the fight to help guide our brothers and sisters to a better life. We will bring you stories from all around the country telling tales of veteran struggles and triumph. Every episode benefits veteran-run nonprofits Warriors Next Adventure, helping veterans fight PTSD through recreational therapy and new adventures. And Houses for Warriors, helping solve the homeless crisis, leading veterans to a better lifestyle. Good afternoon and welcome to Veterans Action Report on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. We're also broadcasting on Facebook and YouTube at KGRA, Warriors Next Adventure, Veterans Action Report, and House for Warriors. As usual, I like to let everybody know that KGRA does this for us for free. They don't charge us anything, which is amazing. So this is a community service show for veterans, which is awesome. We do our best to bring as many veterans to you that are doing amazing things or have done amazing things, like athletes, people who do all kinds of crazy adventures, authors, artists, all kinds of amazing veterans, right? So this show is essentially supporting Warriors Next Adventure and Houses for Warriors because it's a nonprofit that I run, Warriors Next Adventure, and then my co-host Andrew runs. 1 second here. My co-host runs. Standby. I'm having issues here. Oh, there we go. My co-host runs House for Warriors, which is amazing. So Warriors Next Adventure is a nonprofit that helps veterans with PTSD and suicide prevention. We run a 24/7 suicide hotline. And we also have a bunch of different programs that we use to bring veterans together. And what we do is, while we're doing these different adventures or different activities, what we do is we actually talk to veterans about PTSD, suicide prevention, all kinds of different issues that veterans tend to be having these days. And we help them overcome. So it's an amazing program, right? We have 5 dirt track race cars. We have a wolf sanctuary up in Sandstone. We have a jiu-jitsu program as well. So what we do is we take veterans and we show them what jiu-jitsu is. And so what I do is I give them private lessons. And what we do is we teach them the basics. And then after that, if they sign up at my home gym, then I buy their first gi for them. We also film PTSD versus jiu-jitsu. We travel around the whole country in like 45 days and filmed a documentary called PTSD versus jiu-jitsu. It was so much fun. We hit up like 35 gyms and we trained with a little over 3,000 people. It was absolutely amazing. Then we also have the mountain climbing division where we climb mountains. We also work alongside multiple different veterans and veteran organizations. And what we do is we team up with a bunch of different veteran organizations, right? So Fight or Die is actually one of the organizations that we team up with. We also team up with Houses for Warriors. So Houses for Warriors, they have a group home in Denver. And what they do is they actually get veterans off the streets and into the home, and they put them through a program to help them essentially graduate, help them get into their own house, to get into their own apartment or something along those lines. And so not only that, they have a bunch of different programs to get veterans involved in different programs. They do remodeling for a bunch of different veterans, which is absolutely amazing. Fight or Die, they have a 28-foot rowboat called the Whoopie, which they'll be rowing from Spain to Antigua, which is a 3,000-mile row, which is absolutely crazy. And I interviewed Bryant on Warriors Next Adventure podcast, and we talked about exactly what we're going to talk about today. And at the time, I was calling him a complete weirdo. I can't believe that he actually would do something like that. So now I am actually rowing the ocean in the Whoopie in December. So if we bring Bryant on, we'd have him tell a little bit of his story. So Bryant, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been a long time since we chat on a podcast. I want to say we did this, I think late 2020 is when we did the first podcast and talked about your row. And like I said, I was like, you are crazy. Why would somebody do that? Now here I am, 2 years later, getting ready to do the exact same thing I was making fun of you for.
Yeah, I have a way of talking people into doing crazy things. It worked.
Well, Chad reached out to me shortly after our episode, and Chad's like, dude, like, we got to do this. And I'm like, no, you're stupid. I'm not doing that. No, absolutely not. I have no desire to row the ocean. And dude, he called me back like 30 times. He's like, bro, I talked to Lori. She said, if we got a team together, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. And then like 2 days later, he calls me back. He's like, bro, your slogan is explore everything. How's your slogan going to be explore everything if you're not going to row this ocean with me? I was like, you motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that, you know, the race in general is the Talisker Whiskey Atlantic Challenge that, you know, we sign up for. We sign a new new group of veterans up every year to race this race. And, you know, overall, it's just to challenge the team, the group of veterans that, you know, that sign up for it. And we put them in the absolute toughest race known to mankind.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So I'm actually going to do something real quick here. I'm going to show the recap of the 2019, which is absolutely amazing. I'm having some technical difficulties, so I need a second to rewire something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this video so everybody can check it out, which is absolutely amazing. And I'm going to hardwire into my internet because I'm having some issues. So just give me 1 second here. Now, if you could essentially talk to everybody about, you know, what it's like getting prepared for this row, like when you're actually sitting in Spain while this is going on, just, you know, kind of walk everybody through it.
Yeah, well, the preparation is not, and as you well know now, is not just prior to the race. You know, you commit yourself, you know, 1 year, 2 years prior to you actually racing, and you know, the race actually is in the Canary Islands.
I know if I
Hello. Yeah. So.
There we go. I think my connection.
Did I lose you guys?
I think we're back. We're back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So I'll just continue. The race is actually in La Gomera, Canary Islands. It's a protectorate of Spain. So the Canary Islands are a group of islands about 200 nautical miles off the northwest coast of Africa. It's a protectorate of Spain. So everybody there is of Spanish descent, Spanish colony, you know, back in when people were colonizing the world. And that's actually, La Gomera is one of the islands where we launched from. That's the island that Christopher Columbus launched to discover the New World. That race, we row for 3,000 miles across the Atlantic Ocean, and we land and finish in Antigua in the Caribbean. So to prepare for such a expedition, you know, because it's sort of like an expedition, it's about a year-long procedure.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing, the preparation, and we'll keep this video rolling for a few minutes so people watching can actually see a little bit into it. You know, the preparation's been insane. So the Whoopie is actually up at my board member's garage up in Wisconsin, which is really nice because we can work on it quite a bit. And Will, did you see the Molly panels that Will got added onto there? Brian, can you hear me? Hello? Hello, can you hear me, Brian? All right, can you hear me? Hello? Sorry, guys, we're having some technical difficulties. Can you hear me, Bryant?
I can barely hear you now. You're like 2x5.
Man, I don't know what's going on here. How about now? Check, check, check. There we go. I think we're having an issue with Bryant being disconnected here. So Bryant, let's see here. Sorry, guys, got a lot of technology, huh? So just for everybody to know, Fight or Die is absolutely amazing program. Like Bryant was saying, he rode from can you hear me now, Bryant? Stand by, guys. Sorry. There we go. So while we try to get this connection failure figured out here, I'm just going to talk a little bit about Bryant. I'm There we go. So Bryant is, like I said, he's the founder. The president now is Evan Stratton. There's a couple episodes back I had on Evan as well, to talk a little bit about Fight or Die. I've also had all of my rowing partners on the last few episodes, and those episodes are amazing too. So you can go back and scroll through some of those old episodes and kind of see a little bit about what we're all about. So Fight or Die initially started with Bryant saying, "Hey, he reached out to one of his friends, said, 'Hey, do you want to row across the ocean?'" And they ended up purchasing a boat called the Whoopie. It's a 28-foot rowboat, about 4 feet wide, and there's 3 rowing stations. Usually there's only 2 people rowing. And the way it's going to work out is myself, Will Jansen, Chad Miller, and Tommy Hester, who are all members of Warriors Next Adventure. We all got together and decided, you know what, we're going to do it. And so next thing you know, we reach out to Fight or Die, and we actually get accepted for the 2023 team. And so initially the 2023 team was us, and there was a 22 team. The 22 team ended up dropping out a couple months later. And we essentially reached out to Fight or Die, said, "Hey, give us the slot. We'd rather go a year earlier." So here we got Bryant back here. Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me now, Bryant? You got muted. Stand by, guys. So he's stand by, guys. Sorry. Yeah, so we ended up talking to Bryant, and we had a couple conversations with Bryant, and we ended up, talking him into, giving us a slot. We ended up taking the slot, and then we got everybody together, and we were accepted for the 22 team. So we've been training for this for about a year and a half, and we've been training for this for about a year and a half. And then the thing that's kind of gets old is constantly having to row all the time. It just gets absolutely obnoxious. And there we go. And what we end up doing is we roll for 2 hours on, 2 hours off. There you go. Can you hear me, Bryant? Bryant, can you hear me? Check, check, check. 1, 2. Check, check, check. There we go. All right. Well, Chanel is working with Bryant to get his audio fixed. I'll just keep going with this. So what we do is we roll for 2 hours on, 2 hours off. It's a 3,000-mile row from Antigua to I'm sorry, from hey, there we go, Bryant. Can you hear me? Nope, still not yet. We roll from the Canary Islands to Antigua, and it's a 3,000-mile row, which is absolutely insane. So what we do is we're shooting for 49 days. If we hit 49 days, we will actually break the world record for our boat class, and we'll also break the record for fastest American team. Can you hear me, Bryant? Yeah. There we go. So what we do is we load the Whoopie up with all of our food, all of our survival gear. We actually have some training coming up in about 3 weeks up in Wisconsin, and we're going to be actually doing immersion training. This girl Caitlin, who actually built the boat, is coming up to do some training with us. And what we're going to end up doing is we're going to be practicing on Lake Superior. So we'll actually get to row this boat on Lake Superior, which is going to be pretty sweet. And I can't wait to actually give it a shot. So What we have to do is we have to finish fixing the water maker. The water maker is what actually produces water while we row. We have to continuously drink water while we're driving or while we're rowing because of obviously dehydration. Um, and the water maker produces, I believe it's like a gallon an hour or something like that. So we got to finish putting that back in the boat because we took it out and we did some repairs. Can you hear me now, Bryant? Check, check, check. Brian
No,
can't.
all I hear is clicky noises.
Strange. All right. Not sure what's going on with our feed here. If anybody is listening in the comments, go ahead and throw a comment in there if you can actually hear us. All right. Well, I'll just keep talking about the row until we get this figured out. So what we'll do is we'll practice on Lake Superior. We plan on rowing all the way up to the main island on the north side of the North Shore and then rowing back. I'm not sure if we're going to spend 2 or 3 days out there or if we're actually just going to row out for the day, come back. But we have to do, I think, 100 hours on the ocean. And we have to have at least 24 hours of that at night. So what we'll likely do is we'll be rowing throughout the night, 2 hours on, 2 hours off. And so the 2 hours that we're off, we have to go to the bathroom, we have to clean up, we have to shower, we have to do, prepare our food. There's all these different things that we have to get done. And, so there's not a lot of time to actually sleep. So what we have to do is we have to actually, there we go. So what we have to do is we have to actually just get it all done at one time. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to heat up 2 or 3 meals at the same time, and then we'll just set them aside and let them cook for the rest of the day because a lot of our stuff is it's actually dry, and you just add water or like hot water to it, use a jet boil, and then from there what we'll do is we're going to do record ourselves the whole time that we're rowing. So we're going to do our best to actually make a documentary of the trip, which is going to be pretty sweet. I can't wait to do it. I've already been doing some filming of our training and everything like that. And then what we're going to end up doing is cutting it all together. And when we get back, Atlantic Campaigns actually has to take all of our video. And then what they have to do is they have to look through everything, look for disqualifications, stuff like that. So there's certain things like if you put up like a bed sheet for like wind or a sail or anything like that, you'll actually get disqualified. And it's happened before. That's why they need to mention it. And then on top of that, you need to be harnessed pretty much the whole time, right? It's all for safety, right? Because if the boat flips and you flip off board and the current is strong enough, you're not going to get back to the boat. So you have to wear a harness with a long rope that's attached to a strap on the boat. So once we get all that back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to compile all of that into like a short documentary. We're going to do our best to actually see what we can do to make like a 20-30 minute video of the whole trip. Hey, Brian, can you hear me now?
Yeah, but you're dragging. The sound is dragging.
Weird. I'm not sure what's going on, guys.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. So go ahead and talk. Stand by, guys. Stand by 1 second, guys. So I'm just trying to get this set up here. Oh my God. Technology, man. This is driving me absolutely insane. Sorry, guys. This episode is going to be obnoxious. Yeah, so I'm still trying to work that out with Bryant. I'm going to have him come back on. Apparently he can't hear me. He can't hear me, but I'm going to have him join back on and I'm just going to text him my questions. we're gonna get him back on here and then have him just talk a little bit about what they do. Once he comes back on here, I'm just gonna ask him some questions via text, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna have him talk, and then I'll just answer from there. Stand by, guys. While we get this figured out, I'm just going to play that video because A, it's an awesome video, and B, if you guys haven't seen this, it's absolutely amazing. So stand by 1 second here. And 3, 2, 1, here we go.
I know for a fact that this race is a life-changing experience. Within the next year, we'll see at least 50% of this fleet will change their job, their career, where they live, what they do. They will take on new adventures, and that's the beauty of this race.
Looking forward to the extremes, the darkest nights, the biggest waves, the calmest waters. It's the best place you could be to just be with yourself.
I hope it will change where I'm going. I want to do something else, and I definitely want to do something that takes my body and my mind to extremes, so something else than punching numbers in an office. And I hope this can be a way towards that.
We have the biggest fleet ever within the Telescopic Atlantic Challenge. It's a very focused fleet, concentrated, well prepared, so that's very good to see as a race organizer, and they are ready to go December 12th.
Hey, we're feeling great. We had a bit of a mission to get over here from Australia, but now that we're here and we're sorted, we're feeling pumped.
We've been preparing for the challenge for about 1.5 years now.
Yeah, this is a thing that people can do, and less than 1,000 people have ever rode the Atlantic.
I don't have any background in the military, no background in this type of stuff.
This is something I've wanted to do for years. I just needed to find 3 other idiots to do it with.
So this is the cabin of myself and my teammate sleeping. We'll do 2 hours rowing and then 2 hours off.
Your wife can't call you, your work can't call you, you don't get emails, you got nothing to go on but enjoy everything around you.
Boys putting in a serious shift. Here we are. Rough few hours. The morning started so promising.
So this is what happens when the wind's too strong.
Well, here we are, first thing in the morning. I'm about halfway point.
Enjoy everything. Enjoy the pain in your butt. Enjoy your horrible hands. Enjoy the shitty night shifts. And then just enjoy the entire thing, because you will never, ever, ever do anything like it again.
There were so many things, so many stressful moments, so many difficulties, you know, storms and all of those kind of things.
Don't know what day it is anymore.
We're 20 nautical miles from Antigua now.
Antigua, baby!
We're just coming into English Harbor.
It's the hardest thing I've ever done. I've beyond physical extremes, just that mental challenge of going over and over again and keeping your hopes up, having them go down, and reprioritizing, thinking, why did I not just stay home?
Winners of Thursday weekend at the challenge 2019, G42
All right, guys. Pretty cool stuff. Sorry about everything that's going on. So Bryant's connection was terrible and it's just not working out anymore. So we're gonna reschedule, and me and him are just gonna talk a little bit. We'll talk in a couple weeks. And so Bryant is always a good interview, so it'll be one to listen to for sure. We'll just make sure that we have a better strategy this time. This is why, like, doing podcasts with people on phones is kind of a pain in the ass, just because you never know if the connection is going to be good, stuff like that. So, a little bit more about the row. Most of you guys who follow the show have seen Chad, Tommy, and Will on with me, as well as Evan, who's now the president of Fight or Die. And what we do is we got lucky, and we need low end. We need about $80,000 to get this row done. And so Chad, who is one of my ambassadors for Warriors Next Adventure, I reached out to him, and we started talking. And Chad reached out to me. Chad told me that he used to work at a dealership called West Her Auto Group, and I believe it's like the 17th largest auto group in the United States or something along those lines. And so he's also got a couple of sponsored athletes for the Buffalo Bills. And so we figured that would be a good one for us to reach out to. And Chad got him to donate $80,000 to get the title sponsorship of the boat, which is absolutely amazing. So he didn't give us $80,000. That'll pay for the shipping of the container, all the food, because the food storage is going to be the craziest thing. We get so many people that ask about food, and how are you guys actually going to survive out there, right? So the way it works out is the majority of this boat is storage, right? So we have to bring, I believe, 5,000 calories per person for like 70 days. So do the math on that. That's 5,000 calories for 4 people for 70 days. That's a lot of calories. So what we'll do is we have what's called dry food and wet food. The dry food is stuff like it can be it has to be warmed. I'm sorry, you gotta put warm water in there, right? So you have this thing called a jet boil. If you guys know what a jet boil is, I mean it's a camping thing. It uses propane and it heats up water, and then you pour it in your dehydrated food, and then you eat that throughout the course of the day. Then wet food is stuff like crackers and snacks and stuff like that. Like you don't actually have to prepare it, right? You can just grab it and eat it. So what everybody's been telling us is we need to just bring like massive amounts of like peanut butter and crackers and snacks like that, right? So if any of you guys want to donate some peanut butter, we're gonna need a lot of it. We figured between the four of us, we're gonna bring like 20 containers of peanut butter because you never know. And that's stuff that you can eat just about every day, and it never really gets bad. It's got a lot of fat, it's got a lot of protein, it's got a lot of carbs. It's actually pretty decent. It's a pretty decent snack. So we'll be doing that, and then Will was lucky enough to actually purchase a bunch of what do you call them? A bunch of the meal packs. And so we went through and we were doing taste testing last time that we were all up in Wisconsin, which we're actually going to be meeting back up there here in, I believe it's 2 weeks from now. Let's see. Yeah, we'll be going back on the 10th. So we'll be posting a bunch of videos and pictures and stuff on Fight or Die and Warriors Next Adventure and a bunch of other posts just to share a little bit more about the boats. By the way, if you guys have any questions about what we're doing here, feel free to throw it in the comments. I'm not the greatest at doing this by myself. This is why I have guests, because it's a lot easier for me to bounce questions off each other. So what we'll end up doing is, two guys row for 2 hours and the other two guys get a break. There's a cabin in the front and a cabin in the back that are air sealed. And so what happens is if the boat overturns, these cabins are pressurized and it auto corrects the boat so it's upright again. So I'm hoping that it doesn't overturn at all, because we were actually sitting there last time we were up in Wisconsin, and there's these little bolt like pins that stick out all over the boat. So I just imagine getting flipped in that boat in the middle of the night and just nailing your kneecap on one of those little bolts that's sticking out. So we're going to end up going through and likely capping every single bolt that we find inside that boat just for that main purpose. On top of that, we have stand by here 1 second. On top of that, we have, not only do we have to worry about that, we got to worry about water as well. I talked a little bit about the water maker before. So it's it's a giant pump system, and what it does is it filters through salt water and it converts it into drinkable water. And it makes about a gallon or like 5 gallons an hour, somewhere in between there. So we're constantly going to be filling up these Nalgene bottles and stuff like that. And, from that point on, what we have to do is utilize that water not only to bathe, we have to use it to drink. We have to use it to heat up our food, which is going to be a little obnoxious in 49 days out on the sea. So I believe the fastest American team was actually set in the boat that we're rowing, and it was I believe in the type of boat that we're in 50 days and 11 hours. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to be the fastest. We're trying to be the fastest in that boat, and we're also the first all Air Force squad to be rowing across the ocean, which doesn't make a lot of sense considering I joined the Air Force because I didn't want to be on a boat in the middle of the ocean in the Navy. And now here I am actually rowing a boat across the ocean for 3,000 miles with no motor, which is absolutely obnoxious. We have a bunch of different events coming up here. Memorial weekend, we're actually going to have the boat up in the Wisconsin area. We're going to be doing, we're doing a golf tournament. And then we are also doing, what else are we doing? We have a concert August 12th, and we're actually going to be taking the boat down to Mobile, Alabama to do some training down in the Gulf of Mexico. And what we're going to be doing here is, stand by. What we're going to be doing is going down to Mobile, and we'll actually have to spend the majority of our time out on the water, rowing. Like I said before, we need 100 hours out on the ocean, and 24 hours of that has to be at night. So likely what we're going to end up doing is rowing the boat from Mobile, Alabama down to the southern coast of Florida, and then turn around and coming back. And then from there, will essentially be certified to, actually do this race. Nobody can just go do this race. You have to actually have certain qualifications. You need certain things on the checklist. The checklist has all your packing items, and that's where the money comes in because this stuff is expensive, right? Luckily, Fight or Die has the majority of the things that we're going to need, and it's a little easier for us considering, we don't have to go back and buy everything else. And so the money that was donated pays for us to do all of our training. It pays for all the food for the tour or for the trip. It also pays to get us to La Gomera and back from Antigua. And we all decided as a crew we needed at least one person to be in La Gomera with us to do some running back and forth, just in case we needed some parts for the boat or something along those lines. So we actually ended up choosing Will's dad, and Will's dad is going to be there with us, which he's absolutely awesome. He was actually the one who dropped off me and Will when we did the St. Croix River tour. So we ended up rowing from the northern part. I can't remember what the name of the dam is. It's in northern Wisconsin. We ended up rowing the St. Croix from the dam all the way down to Prescott, Wisconsin, which was actually, probably one of my favorite trips. And I had an absolute great time doing that. It was so much fun. And we're planning on doing it fairly soon. I want to say either this year or next year. We're trying to get at least like 5 or 6 canoes and taking a group of guys down the St. Croix, which would be a lot of fun. And we have a lot of pretty cool pictures and videos from it. If you go to Warriors Next Adventure YouTube, there's a video on there so you can actually watch that whole trip from beginning to end. Yeah, I think I spliced it down to like 5 to 10 minutes or something along those lines. So that's pretty cool. A lot of people have asked us, how are you mentally going to prepare for rowing across the ocean, right? Physically, it's not going to be that bad. If you've ever rowed before, as long as you're just rowing calmly and not rowing as hard as you can, it's really not that hard. Rowing isn't difficult. I don't really have any issues rowing. I lift weights 4 or 5 days a week. I train jiu-jitsu 3 to 4 days a week. So I'm constantly active, and utilizing my body constantly is really never an issue. But it's the mental aspect of being out in a boat in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the ocean with nobody, anywhere near you. There's 2 rescue yachts, and there'll be, in between, I think 46 boats that are registered this year. Those 2 rescue yachts have to be within, a certain amount of mileage between each boat in the race, but the boats could be spread like almost 1,000 miles sometimes. So if the boat goes under, you never know. That's about a week away from rescue sometimes. So we just got a new raft, and we're hoping that we don't ever have to use that damn raft. But it's actually pretty cool. It's covered and everything. Plus, we also have Coast Guard approved immersion suits, and then we also have what's called an EPIRB. Right, the EPIRB goes off when you get submerged in water. And it's got a satellite GPS connection to each person. Each EPIRB is assigned to each person. So all 4 of us have our own, just in case we get separated. Now, going back to the psychology of, how does somebody prepare to row across the ocean? Now, I think where veterans have, I wouldn't say, a leg ahead of anybody else, but I would say that we have an advantage in doing many difficult things because not only basic training gets us ready for those kind of things, but people who've deployed like myself. I had 4 deployments total overseas. I had 1 to Qatar, which was, quote, deployment. That was a rough deployment considering they would run out of mint ice cream at least once a week. It was awful. And then I had 2 to Iraq. I had 1 in Afghanistan. And so, mentally, it's hard to even prepare for those, right? We have a 3-month training before we deploy. And then what we do is we all deploy together, and we spend either 6 to sometimes 9 months overseas. Luckily, all my deployments were 6 or less. And, you come back, and it's coming back, which is usually the hardest part. But the preparation for it all is as easy as just, putting yourself through difficult times just so you can be prepared for actually, pushing through when hard times actually happen, right? So you simulate you simulate the worst times, the worst things that you could go through, like tipping the boat and, you know, jumping into the water and having to put an immersion suit on in the water, stuff like that. So you actually think about a lot of the different things that are going to be difficult. Now, the one thing that is almost impossible to train is how your brain is going to react to not seeing the shore and being out in the middle of nowhere in a rowboat with 3 other dudes. But at the same time, you can connect that to a lot of the times during deployments when we were all stuffed inside trucks and we had to spend 24 hours or, you know, 2-3 days inside of trucks. We were living out of trucks, eating MREs and, you know, eating cans of food, stuff like that. So I would assume that it's not much more difficult than that. Talking to Evan and Bryant and, you know, Bo and everybody else through Fight or Die who's actually done this before, every one of them said, like, you can do whatever you want to mentally prepare, but it's almost impossible to prepare what you're actually going to go through. So I think the best thing we can do is just, you know, be ready to regulate whenever things do get bad. And that's essentially what I teach through Warriors Next Adventure. So I have an advantage. Everybody on my team has an advantage because every one of them works for me with Warriors Next Adventure. I should say work alongside me. I don't like doing the whole boss thing. Every one of these guys has done amazing things with the veteran community when it comes to helping pull other people out of their own BS. All 4 of us have been through our issues, and all 4 of us have been through a lot of struggles in life that we've had to overcome. And that's what we do, is we overcome, and we're really good at it. And, you know, when it comes to mountain climbing with Tommy or mountain climbing with Chad, rowing an entire river with Will, we've all done tremendous things together that has been extremely difficult. But we lean on each other, we utilize each other as much as possible, and our team demographic is something that is really hard to beat. You know, especially the amount of time that we all spent deployed together. So me, Chad, and Will, me, Chad, and Will were all stationed together in North Carolina in 2007 is when me and Chad got there. And Will, I believe, left in 2009. And then the 3 of us all deployed to Iraq together in 2008, and that's where we met Tommy. Will was in a leadership, I believe in leadership / admin deployment team. And then me, Chad, and Tommy were all on the convoy team. And so we all were deployed together at the same time. It's just Will was in a different section of the base. So all of us has spent significant amount of time in stress together. And so we all know how each other operates pretty damn well. Me and Chad actually deployed 4 times together. There was a couple deployments where we did different things, but we were all deployed at the same time. We roomed together when we were overseas. And so we've all spent quite a bit of time, you know, getting to know each other and also actually knowing each other for a long time. I believe we're the first team in Fight or Die that actually everybody knew each other before the row. And we've all known each other for almost, 10 years, if not more. I mean, do the math. Back to 2006 is when I met Chad. So little over 14 years, 15 years. I'm not good at math. You guys probably better at that than me. So the beauty of it is we don't have to worry about creating that team dynamic. We already have it. Not to mention these guys do a fantastic job at Warriors Next Adventure, helping me get programs put together, helping me do all kinds of different fundraisers and figuring out what we can do to actually reach more veterans and be more effective at reaching veterans. And when we all were sitting there talking last time we were together back in February, I believe it was, we were all sitting here thinking, how amazing is this opportunity to get to row a boat across the ocean? Not only do we get to do something that is, I mean, absolutely insane, but I believe more people have climbed Mount Everest than have rowed across this ocean. So this is definitely the more difficult feat. And I like doing difficult things because that's how you know that mentally you are stable. And after my suicide attempt in 2015, I decided that I'm going to do everything in my life, everything in my power the rest of my life to actually push myself to the edge as much as possible, just to continue to show people how to get over things and how to overcome. And so we all decided that this is probably one of the best ways for us to reach as many veterans as possible, because this is an international stage. This isn't just, a group of guys rowing across the ocean. This is an international event, and hundreds of thousands of people follow this. And, what we're hoping to do with what we're doing is, we don't like to say we're raising awareness for veteran suicide prevention. People know. Right. There's a lot of people that don't, but the majority of the United States knows that there's an issue with veterans and suicide. We're not worried about the awareness stuff. We're focusing on showing veterans that you can do amazing things after the military. You don't have to be, you don't have to live in your past life and just think about the military all the time while you're just pissed off at a job that you hate, with friends that don't really give you what you need, right? You can recreate the camaraderie that you had before you when you were in the military. You can recreate that in many different ways. With Warriors Next Adventure, we show people that you can do it through jiu-jitsu. There's many different people that have experienced, difficult times, and anybody who's experienced difficult times can relate to you. They can empathize with you. And so what we're trying to show people is, like, you know what? Life isn't over after the military is over. We can go do absolutely amazing things, and we're going to show people that every chance that we can. And so this row is giving us an international stage to show people that, veterans are awesome. We can do whatever we want. Whatever we put our minds to, we're going to do it. And we are not only going to do it, we're going to break world records while we're at it. So our goal, like I said, is 49 days. Now 49 days maybe doesn't seem like that long, but when you're actually talking about rowing for 49 days straight with having 2-hour breaks, 2 hours rowing, 2 hours off, I don't know, man. I think about it sometimes, and still people ask me, why are you doing this? I'm like, I don't know. But the best answer is, why not? When's the last time you said yes to something? That's the big thing that I really try to push people is, when is the last time somebody came to you with something just outrageous and you said, yeah, let's do it? I'm not talking about robbing banks or doing meth or anything like that, but there's all kinds of adventures in life that we get offered, but most of the time we say no. We're programmed to do the 9 to 5. We're programmed to sit at home and watch TV. We're programmed to do all of these lazy things. Like, we're literally programmed to do these things. And we're trying to show people that you can break the programming anytime you want to, right? Now, I'm not saying that if you sit at home and watch TV and you enjoy watching TV or playing video games is a bad thing. That's whatever. It's fine. If you enjoy that, good for you. But I have immense unhappiness whenever I'm unproductive. So I need to continue to do stuff. Somebody called me a serial entrepreneur the other day, which I thought was pretty funny, considering I've started 2 businesses, a nonprofit. I run a radio show. I have my other podcast. And on top of that, I just bought a bunch of wood. I'm building some cabinets in my garage, and eventually I'm going to remodel my kitchen as well. I'm definitely a serial hobbyist. I got a lot of different things that I like to continue to do because I like to be productive. And I had a discussion with somebody today. I picked up some stuff on Facebook Marketplace from a guy, and we sat and we talked for a little while. And we talked about not only productivity, but also, value, right? What value do you provide to the world? There's a lot of people out there who, instead of learning how to fix something, they'll just call somebody. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. If you have the money for it, you don't have the time, you want to just call somebody to go fix something, great, whatever. But there's a lot of satisfaction in doing something yourself, right? And that's why, a lot of people give handymen crap because they don't have like a stable 9 to 5 job. But those handymen are usually pretty happy because A, they're their own boss. B, they know how to do just about anything they need to do to actually make things get done. And so I set the majority of my life on learning different skills and trades so I could be, essentially a jack of all trades. There's a saying out there that says jack of all trades, knows a lot about, I can't remember it. God damn it. That's going to make me so angry. I believe, knowledgeable about all, but master of nothing. And then, they still say that a jack of all trades is better than a master of one, right? Because if you know a lot about a bunch of different things, but you're not a master at it, you still know a lot more than most people. I totally screwed that saying up, by the way. I'm sure somebody's going to look that up and call me out on it later. That's fine. Feel free to send me the link. But I would rather know how to do the majority of things rather than be an expert in one area. Because if you think about it like this, right? If you're really, really good at, let's say fixing clocks, right? You're a master at fixing clocks, but nobody uses clocks anymore. You're screwed. Right. So I'd rather know a bunch about everything. That's why with Warriors Next Adventure, I run everything. I do the media, I do the marketing, I do the advertising, I do the fundraising. I'm the one that actually does the 24/7 suicide hotline. I do all kinds of things, just to be there for veterans as much as possible. And it's difficult, it's tiring, it's exhausting. And, people tell me you need to learn how to delegate. I know exactly how to delegate. But I also realize that this nonprofit is not just something that I do. It is literally my heart and soul. It's what makes me happy. It's what gets me out of bed, at the end of the day, or it's what gets me out of bed in the morning. There's days where I'm extremely depressed and I'm having issues. And next thing you know, I get a ding on my phone, and next thing it's a veteran that needs help. And so that's what gets me out of bed. It gives me that drive. It makes me happy. It's definitely my passion. And it's something that I'm good at. We've had 99 calls on the suicide hotline since 2000. I believe it was December 2019, and they're all still alive and kicking. So I'm pretty proud of that number. And that's the only number that anyone's going to ever hear me brag about, because that's a number that, if my service wasn't here, how do we know that those people would still be here? But the thing that I want everybody to realize, you should always reach out for help if you need help. You should reach out to counselors if you need to talk to somebody. But the most important thing that everybody needs to realize is you need to help yourself. I can tell you a million different ways to fix yourself, but if you don't act on any of that, then nothing's actually going to change. And so a lot of the conversation that I have with these veterans, when they reach out to me and say, hey, you saved my life or you changed my life, I make sure to let them know, listen, I didn't do that. All I did was I gave you some tools and I showed you a path. And you are the one that needs to take the steps. I can't walk for you. Counselors, medication, myself, all we are is suggestions, and help. It's not going to fix the problem. You have to be the one to actually make the changes in your life to actually improve yourself. And so I'm trying to take what I know and give it to as many people as possible. And that's why this row with Fight or Die is so massive to me, because, that's hundreds of thousands and more people that are going to hear what I'm saying. And that's a lot of veterans that I could potentially reach, just to make sure that they know that they have the ability to change their lives. They have the ability to actually create a brand new life, and they can be whoever they want. I often ask people, who is your hero? And anybody still listening, I want you to really think about this. Who is your hero? I want you to write it down and then think about this. Why is it not you? That's a question that a lot of people get shocked with, because most people tend to say, well, I haven't done anything that's deserving of being a hero. So I challenge everybody this: write down 5 things that you could do that would make you your hero, and go out there and live your life, do excellent things, help as many people as you can, and realize that we're all connected and we all need to be there for each other. Until next time, this is Veterans Action Report on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. Go check out warriorsnextadventure.com and housesforwarriors.org and support those nonprofits. You can go check out our Patreon at Patreon/Veterans Action Report. Thank you guys for listening and putting up with my BS. I'll see you guys next week.